Welcome to the Sweaty Pillow podcast. Today we have back with us for a second time Cindy Topel, who is a certified menopause specialist and certified weight loss coach. And you put those things together in a sentence, you'll have more women in North America between 45 and 55 paying attention to this woman because we need to get your content out there, Cindy. And also you connect with us emotionally because you have had a very successful personal weight loss journey. So thank you so much for coming back and welcome to the Sweaty Pillow.
Well, thank you. And I am so honored to have you invite me back. So much appreciated. Thank you.
So in our last session, when we had the first round with you, you exposed us to your philosophy of kind of the 5 reasons why women gain weight. And then some really good nuggets I want to explore and really get into because they've connected the most with us. So if you can just, highlight kind of the 5 reasons why this, or the reasons why this happens to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when I tell people, women just light up because it feels like we've been in the dark, like what's happening to us. Why does it feel like I've gained weight overnight? Why do I have all these symptoms? And we really are just looking for answers. So I'm happy to start there. There's really 5 things that impact not only our symptoms, but our weight both. And I find when you also solve for those 5, you solve a little bit of both. Really, when we lose estrogen, it impacts so much in our body. And the big 5 and that impact our weight and our symptoms are we are losing vast amounts of, not vast, but we are losing a lot of our muscle mass. It starts in our late 30s and continues to the balance of our life because of the loss of estrogen. And so that loss of muscle mass lowers our metabolism. So a lot of times women will say, I'm eating the same thing and I am gaining weight. And yes, you are, because you have lost muscle mass maybe that you have not replaced. So that's the first. And then the next is gut health. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that today, but there are huge changes in your gut health that impact your weight, your mood, your sleep, and your appetite and your amount of cravings. And it is a big contributor to inflammation. So gut health is the next big change. When we lose estrogen, also some hormones go up, 2 key ones, insulin and cortisol. And so they impact sleep, and they impact fat storage. And many women become, not every woman, but many women become insulin resistant. And then inflammation. Inflammation is caused by kind of all of those things and the loss of estrogen, which has many amazing anti-inflammatory properties. So a lot of women become inflamed. And that combination of things impacts the majority of our symptoms and causes a lot of weight gain. So,
weight gain being such a tangible, real-time issue that we're facing all the time in menopause and perimenopause, right? We can say that we do want to protect our heart health. We want to protect our brain health. But practically every day, if I can't get into my jeans, I'm just in a bad mood. So this is just in our face every day. Whereas heart health may feel like a little bit down the road. Now, I'm not saying it's not important, but let's be real as women here. We are impacted by our weight and how we're feeling about our physical self. So this is just such an important topic for women in our community. When we were talking last, you really exposed us to the importance of gut health. And there were tangible things that Lisa and I went away and did immediately. Like Lisa left the podcast, went to the grocery store, and now our fridge has pickles in them. No friggin' joke. So the fermented foods. And so before I get into then what I've implemented from your takeaways from our first podcast, can you just tell us, just deeper dive into the microbiome and our gut health and how it is at play here with all of these things?
Yeah. I don't know if gut health isn't as sexy as some of the other things, but gut health is so important it impacts so much about how we feel, from whether you feel, bloated, you have GI issues, you have elimination issues, your mood and mental health. Tons of studies out about the gut brain axis and how it impacts our mental health. it impacts our sleep, it impacts our weight. And again, it's a big contributor to inflammation. So you've got a myriad of symptoms that are happening here. And when we talk about gut health, the three big things I think that are important to understand, because a lot of your symptoms, a lot of your weight gain come from these things, are kind of the three big things that impact both. Are first, it's part of your waist highway, right? So it's elimination, it's GI issues, it's bloating. We get a lot of these when we lose estrogen, and we have a lot of problems with that. And so that's a day-to-day issue for a lot of women, right? The second big thing is it impacts our what the second big thing it does for us is it is our absorption, sort of nutritional synthesis, and digestion. So that's where a lot of our body absorbs a lot of nutrition there. And it happens in this sort of little environment that lives in your gut. And it's called the gut microbiome. So we have little microbiomes everywhere, but the gut microbiome is an important one. It's full of, it's a very fancy term, but for it's just a combination of microorganisms, thousands of them that live in your gut. And they do a lot of work for us around digestion, absorption, nutrition. And when we get somewhere past the age of 40, around the age of 45, we've lost a lot of estrogen in our body. And while a lot of organs and systems don't like this, your gut doesn't like it at all. And what happens is we go from having a large diversity of microorganisms in our gut microbiome to a dramatic reduction. And so we are not absorbing, synthesizing, or digesting food the same way. We are not eliminating and have bloating issues and GI issues. A lot of women have food intolerances that show up right around the late 40s, right?
Yeah.
The third big thing that happens in your gut is there's a big change into the hormone production. This is if you are not taking care of that gut. So we can talk about that in a moment. But a lot of hormones are made in your gut, hormones that impact sleep, mood, weight. A lot of our autoimmune function happens in our gut. But we have, we have a huge impact to our bodies, our sleep, our mental health, our weight, and also it's a big contributor to inflammation if that whole gut microbiome is off. So your gut does waste, digestion and nutrition absorption, and hormone production. So if we're not taking care of that whole like little microorganism and feeding it what it needs, you can see how impactful that would be to your weight, to your mood, to your sleep, to symptoms. So, and it's not the only cause of inflammation, Lara, but it's a big one. And inflammation, high amounts of inflammation in the body cause tons of our symptoms that are so impactful and irritating to us, like sleep issues, like hot flashes, night sweats, muscle soreness, achy joints. And the one that ties us right back to this whole weight conversation is inflammation causes a lot of that menopause belly or that belly fat that we hate. It's actually inflammatory tissue. And the Menopause Society, which is kind of the preeminent medical society that for all of North America, does a lot of certification of our physicians, does a lot of research. The Menopause Society studies show that we go from having only about 0 to 5% of this kind of fat that wraps around our internal organs to 15 to 20% in menopause.
Okay.
And there is absolutely no change to how women are eating or how much exercise they're doing. And so I talk to so many women, and you probably talk to a lot of your girlfriends who are like, oh my God, I'm trying everything to lose this stomach. Not that we don't have weight on our bellies sometimes due to excess calories, but that sudden weight that you get that feels like it comes kind of overnight, that menopause belly that doesn't seem to respond to anything. Anything traditional we try, like cutting calories, fasting, exercise. Yes, 100%, because it's inflammatory tissue It is not caused by calories. It is not caused by lack of sit-ups.
Right.
It's caused by all of the nutrition choices you are not making with your gut health. It's caused by an increase in cortisol and insulin in your body and inflammation. So if you can get to the root cause of those things and lower them, you will lower that menopause belly. You will lower a lot of your symptoms. You will lower your weight. So I just want to shout that from the rooftop, because we feel so much like failures sometimes when we try to do all these things to lose weight, and you're like, my gosh, it's so easy to gain weight right now. What's happening? Why can't I fix it?
So we spoke, I think it's 2.5 weeks ago, perhaps. And what I went away and could do right away is you coached us on having a high water consumption in the morning. And you said, I remember so specifically, that will help with kind of the lull of energy in the afternoon. I'm like, yeah, right. So I started doing that. The other thing that I started doing was adding more fiber and natural sources during the day. So more fruit, some nuts, and fermented foods. The other thing that I stopped doing, because I did a bit more research because I was just fascinated, and I was someone that would have Diet Coke or Diet Ginger Ale every day. And I learned about the impact of aspartame and chemicals on my microbiome. So within that first weekend of meeting you, I started and stopped those things immediately. I know there's so much more for me to do. I added, and the fiber thing, I know I mentioned that. I would say within a week, I started noticing that I was more regular every single day. I thought I maybe had a bug, because I'm like, why am I so regular? I'm like, I've got a parasite, because it was 4 or 5 days sometimes that I wasn't regular. And when I travel, I can just guarantee that I'll be in exercise and my stomach will be bloated by the time I get back from a couple flights and traveling. And I was regular on my trip. So it's like, holy shit, I did those few things. And I know there's something to this, because within 2.5 weeks, I'm regular every day. And that was one of my biggest complaints. And I'm leaner, and my stomach, and it's like, this has made an impact right away. So tell us now about your system. It's more than those things, but now that's just my little goofy, I'm going to test this out. But tell us now formally what we need to do to get this in check.
Well, first, I can't tell you how gratifying it is to hear that, because we do think we have to do something huge, right? We think we have to never eat a carb again for the rest of our life, or we have to fast and give up an entire meal. Like, we think we have to do, or there has to be some kind of drug we have to take. And we are looking for a medication a lot of times. And if you just sort of understand, well, look, your whole body's taking a big hit here with the loss of estrogen. And there are a few simple things that you can do that are kind of yummy, right? Like eat a bunch of berries, yum, right?
Yeah.
And we're all looking for simple things that we can do that will impact our weight, our symptoms, our sleep, our quality of life. And all of them kind of contribute to our quality of life. So you hit on some big ones, Lara, like water is essential. I mean, you can go, 30 days without food in a desert, but about 3 and you're probably in critical care of water. You go 3 days without water, you're might be dead, right? So water is just critically important, and we have less water in our body when we're menopausal. So alcohol hits us more effectively, right? And your taste buds are impacted, so you don't have the same sense of thirst that you have pre-menopausal. So you got to drink that water. So that, you're right, that's a huge one. And there is something absolutely powerful about feeding the gut. So if you give the gut what it wants to quote unquote eat, and that is prebiotics and probiotics, or as you said it very well, fiber is prebiotics, fermented foods are probiotics. So how do these help? So they feed the gut microbiome. And if you give your body both insoluble and soluble fiber, you will be a happy gal. So you hit it on the head. You increase some of your fiber, And what helps with the elimination in the bathroom and the bloating and the GI and some of those uncomfortable, issues is the insoluble part, the insoluble fiber part. So think celery and broccoli and having a salad every day. That insoluble fiber that sort of moves through you helps with elimination. Soluble fiber helps feed your gut microbiome. So soluble fiber, think like avocado and walnuts and berries and pears and things like that are soluble fiber, and they whole grains. Whole grains are a great example. They feed, that's the soluble part that feeds your gut microbiome. You got to have a combo of those two kinds of fiber. And all that means is maybe you want to put in a salad every day and some berries, handful of nuts here and there, and throw some avocado on your sandwich instead of cheese. Small things, pick 3 or 4 small things that you can sort of put on repeat, because we don't want to overcomplicate our lives. Yeah. So that's fiber. Fermented foods, if you can tolerate them, that's the other half of the puzzle. That's a probiotic. And that's the other half of what your gut wants. And so kefir, yogurt, make tuna salad and egg salad with Greek yogurt, non-fat Greek yogurt. Do things like that and try to get 1 to 2 fermented foods a day. And you might want to add pickles. You might want to add sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, sourdough bread. So,
oh, hello.
Oh, you're hitting like a whole grain. It's soluble and it's a fermented food. I love those bonus foods that hit a couple categories, right? So fiber and fermented foods feed that gut microbiome, because if you don't give those 2 things, the gut lining around your gut can become slightly permeable without estrogen's protection. And so all that waste that's sort of in there, and your large intestine is part of your gut, can seep into your abdomen, and you can get leaky gut. Leaky gut is a big contributor to inflammation across your body, achy joints, muscle soreness, hot flashes, heart palpitations. Go to a doctor if you have heart palpitations, but they are a common symptom in menopause. But it can cause inflammation issues like also that menopause belly. So always full circle to both symptoms and weight. So, and then you really want to work on reducing the amount of added sugars. So you also touched on that a little bit. You talked about aspartame and artificial sweeteners. It goes right back to the gut, Lara. We don't digest, synthesize, absorb things the same way because we have such a dramatically reduced gut microbiome. So any kind of chemical, and those are chemicals, any kind of chemical is harder for your body. Also, any kind of good thing is harder for your body to digest and absorb, like protein. Because that gut doesn't work as well, you got to eat more protein than less. So to help your body.
So the microbiome, if we've destroyed it with our horrible eating habits and lifestyle, can we get it back?
So we've not destroyed it. It just with the loss of estrogen, though, my dear, we have a much reduced amount of microorganisms in our gut. So what we have left, we have to take special super care of. And you're seeing it in your body in such a short period of time, right? Yeah. You can turn things around and reduce your menopause belly, reduce your symptoms, reduce your aches. I've seen my menopause belly get flatter. I'm not a big lover of sit-ups. I do them, but I've seen my menopause belly dramatically get smaller eating this way. I don't have as much bloating, not as many GI issues. I sleep better. I mean, you can do so much in such a short period of time by giving your body what it needs. And then it's kind of this miraculous thing, to your point, to see it. So you haven't hurt your body as much as you're probably just not feeding it the right things.
Right.
So if you can start like you are, start small, start eating a couple things, you'll notice a difference.
That is for sure. So unbelievable insights. Now over to you, because at the end of our recording last time, we kind of buried the lead on when you shared with us how old you are. And that was just, I mean, our jaws dropped. Incredible, Cindy, how you look.
Oh, gosh.
And I was blown away and instantly started like stalking you on Instagram for I just tell us everything you're doing so that then we can just be like you. Because you kind of glow from the inside out. You've definitely cracked the code. This is fountain of youth stuff. If we can manage inflammation, improve our gut, improve our sleep, improve our mental health. I mean, if you could wrap that up with a Christmas bow, that is the fountain of youth, and you've lived it and done it and then got all of the certification, and you're spreading the good word to women. Tell us about your personal journey, what finally again had you lose the weight, and then what and how we can get you in front of millions of women in terms of your offering so that you can replicate the Cindy Topel effect to millions.
Well, first of all, thank you. How kind of you to say such nice things. Yeah, I will be 59 next month. And I wish I could take you back in a timesheet machine and show you Cindy at 49, Cindy at 50, Cindy at 53. I didn't feel as good. I didn't look as, healthy as I am because I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating the right things. I felt terrible. I mean, I think everything falls apart if you're not sleeping. And certainly, aging is a big part of genetics and, things, but I eat pretty clean. It's not part of my program, but I personally don't drink alcohol. And a lot of menopausal women I find have a hard time with it as well. I wasn't tolerating it well. It was impacting me so quickly and so little, and impacting sleep, which was already hard for me. So I don't drink alcohol. I eat pretty clean, but I am all about the easy, Lara. Like I focus on a couple of non-negotiables that I have figured out how to fit into my life. And a lot of it is what is in my course that's coming out in February. A lot of it is what I do with my one-on-one coaching clients. A lot of that is what I talk about on my social. I focus personally on a couple of things because 10 years ago, I was just struggling with my weight. I'd been up and down. I've lost my weight over and over again, only to regain it every time. I was achy shoulders, achy hip, achy joints, bloated, menopause belly, weight gain, no sleep, just brain fog. I just felt like I was a poster child for perimenopause. And I was miserable. And I thought, I can't live like this. I will not live like this. There's got to be something I can do. And that's kind of what led me down the journey to your point of trying to figure it out. And I did figure it out, and certainly with help, and did a lot of research. And now I combined the weight loss piece that helped me with the emotional eating, the behavioral eating, the menopause stuff that I have learned in my certification into my program to try kind of address it all in the simplest possible way. And my routine now is so different from back in the day. I mean, the non-negotiables I sort of work on in my own life are I plan my food every day, because Cindy for breakfast is really solid. Cindy figuring out dinner. I don't want that girl driving the food bus, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't make good decisions always, right? She's tired. She wants easy. And so I use morning Cindy to help evening Cindy. And so I plan my food in the morning, because then I don't have to sit around and go, well, what do I want for lunch? What do I want for dinner? What do I want for a snack? That's exhausting. And especially if you're feeding your family, that's exhausting. So I figure it out in the morning, and I try to do as much as I can early in the day to help later Cindy. Because if I have stuff in a crock pot, well, dinner's done. If I have stuff chopped up because I took a break at 10 in the morning and threw it all in a bowl or a baggie and threw it in the fridge, 6 o'clock, Cindy can just toss that on a sheet pan and put it in the oven. So I do little things like that, but planning my food is non-negotiable for me. And then I also look in the morning, how did I do against yesterday's plan? So I sort of assess. So that's one thing I do. I drink a lot of water. We talked about that. I get in the big three, I call them, which is my 80 to 100 grams of protein, my fiber, and fermented foods. To me, those are the big three. And I sat down and just figured out once, what does that look like for me to get that kind of, so you're not doing it every day. Because I don't want to be on a calorie app or counting or counting points or counting grams, or I don't want to do any of that. I just want to eat like I'm normal. And so I figured it out kind of once. What does it look like? And then I put a lot of things on repeat. And then kind of the fourth food thing I do is I stop eating. I eat to 80, I call it. That's what I call it in my program, eat to 80. So I wait till I'm slightly hungry and I eat until I'm about 80% full. So not icky full, just about 80% full. Like I could eat more, but I'm good. And then I'm really careful with my sleep routine because I struggled. I think I literally went 2.5 years when I was really struggling in perimenopause without sleeping through the night. So I really have a solid sleep routine and I follow it every day. And then movement, I walk about 4 days a week for 30 minutes and I lift weights twice a week for 30 minutes. And that's it. So low impact. That's what I do. And I feel 100% better than I used to. And I think it's really important to tell your listeners, Lara, I don't have off-limit foods at all. So if I want to have a cookie, especially this time of year, or chips, or some, you'll see me eat pizza, you'll see me eat everything, fries, but I plan them. I eat them when I'm hungry and I stop at 80. I eat to 80. You cannot believe how much that one trick, eating to 80, can impact your weight.
Oh, I've implemented it in my household. And when my partner and I were away, I was lecturing him on the eat to 80 and he stopped. He goes, it was so nice not to go to bed feeling like I hated myself. Like I actually feel good. Something else that I forgot to mention to you that's happened to me since I started right away. And I started with the cheats. Like I did have kombucha because I know that was like just a quick thing. But the other thing on top of all the things I was doing, I noticed that I don't have the same sugar craving. Yeah. Is that possible? That was like I'm a maniac at 7:30 on something sweet. And I'm like, hold on a second. Once I figured out I didn't have a parasite, which is why I'm now regular, I don't have sugar cravings. Yes. This is really freaky how easy it's been and how quick this change has been. So the no sugar thing that's because of what I'm doing also.
It's the fiber because fiber helps slow the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream. So your body's making less insulin. So when we have too much glucose and too much insulin, it gets stored as fat.
Right.
It's your fiber.
Unbelievable.
I know. It's like, where was all this information 10 years ago when I started perimenopause? So I try to be that voice now.
Well, we have to explode this because as I've said, we've had unbelievable doctors and it's fascinating learning. You gave us something that we've implemented in our life and 2.5 weeks later, I'm leaner, I am regular, I don't have sugar cravings, and my energy's good in the afternoon. Like I would have paid, I don't know how much money if someone said you could take a pill and do that. This is so easy what I'm doing. So tell us about what are the things, how people can find you, and when exactly your course comes out? Because this is going to be like, I can't wait to sign up.
Oh, you're so sweet. So I'm pretty easy to find. My company is called the Menopause Path to Weight Loss and Wellbeing. So you can find me at Menopause Path on either Instagram or Facebook. And I probably post the most on Instagram. And then my website is menopausepath.com. And my course, because I just can't coach everybody. So I decided to make a course to help. And so there's a self-study course, and then there's also sort of a VIP flavor that has live Q&As and things in it. The course will be out now February 24th. So you'll be able to sign up for it February 11th. So you follow me on social, go click the link in my bio and grab the free guide. It talks through the 5 reasons why we're gaining weight, which by the way, also are big contributors to our symptoms, and what to do to get started. A lot of the things we talked about on your first podcast, Lara.
Mhm.
Grab that, and then you'll start getting weekly emails from me, and I try to give all kinds of good information and that.
So, sweaty pillow friends, if you want to make instant changes, instantly feel better, because I now have a test case of 2.5 weeks of doing just a few things from Cindy's advice. If you want to lose weight and feel better in 2.5 weeks, please find Cindy Topel. It's absolutely going to change your life. I don't think I've ever expressly said that or endorsed anyone to the extent that I am, because I saw it live with me. And we will shout all of this from our Sweaty Pillow community newsletter and our website as one of our trusted endorsed partners. And I can't thank you enough for giving us more of your time within 3 weeks at the busiest time of year. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.